I just jump in.
Was the council sort of man and CEO, and council in the end?
Good evening everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. Good evening everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. On behalf of the Greater Geelong City Council, I would like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people as the traditional owners of the land, waterways and skies. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of our Greater Geelong community today. This meeting is being broadcast on the internet, and the recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. My name is Ali Wasty, Chief Executive Officer of the City of Greater Geelong. Tonight, the City of Greater Geelong Council will elect their Mayor and Deputy Mayor for a 2-year term concluding in November 2026. All councillors are in attendance this evening, so there are no apologies. In accordance with Council's public question and submission time policy, there will be no public question time and submission time at meetings to elect the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Due to the election of the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, tonight's agenda will be reserved for administrative items only. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Are there any other declarations of conflicts of interest in relation to tonight's agenda? Any conflicts arise during the meeting, please make them known. Section 2, reports. Election of Mayor. We will now move to this evening's agenda. Firstly, to the election of Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong City Council. The election of the Mayor will be conducted in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and the governance rules, which require that I, as CEO, preside over the meeting until a Mayor is elected. Can I please call for nominations?
Madam CEO, it's with great pleasure that I would like to nominate Councillor Stretch Contell for Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong.
Councillor Stretch Contell, do you accept the nomination?
Thank you, I do.
Can I please have a mover for Councillor Stretch Contell as Mayor? Alvin, can I please have a seconder for Councillor Stretch Contell as Mayor? Councillor Contell, Councillor Eddie Contell, thank you. Councillor Stretch Contell, your nomination has been accepted. Are there any other nominations for Mayor this evening? There are no further nominations of Mayor. I declare Councillor Stretch Contell, City of Greater Geelong Council until the next mayoral elections in 2026. Congratulations. So I congratulate the incoming Mayor, Councillor Stretch Contell, and now ask that the Mayor chair the remainder of the meeting. Would you also like the opportunity to address the chamber?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank fellow councillors for their support. I'm well aware of the great privilege and responsibility that comes with the office of Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong, and I see with pleasure one of my former mayors there, John Mitchell. So thank you for coming along, John. You've always had a great interest in the ongoing works of council. I certainly look forward to working with fellow councillors. It's a terrific group. In the short time that we've been together, I can see that we're going to make a great team. Everyone seems to be motivated with the same passion and vision to do what's in the best interests for the residents of the City of Greater Geelong. and also looking forward to working with our great team of officers. I think we've got some amazing opportunities here as a city, and lots of tough decisions to make, but I think we've got the right team on the pitch. Just before I touch on my background, I'd just like to acknowledge my family. Paul and my daughter Paris are here, and my granddaughter Nellie. And it takes me back to when I was first elected onto council. I mentioned when I was sworn in last century, back in 1998. Within 2 weeks of being elected, my son was also born, and my wife was sitting in the audience holding my son, Davis, at the time, and here she is now holding my 6-month-old daughter, so it's a granddaughter. Granddaughter. So it's a full circle of life that is here in front of me. Certainly Paul has been a great support in all my crazy endeavours, both here in Australia and overseas, and certainly I couldn't take on this role without that great support. In relation to my background, I don't often speak about my background, but I think an occasion like today, it's important just to reflect, certainly for me, as to how it is that Councillor Eddie Contell and I come to be here in Australia. Could easily be anywhere in the world. My parents escaped from the scourge of socialism from Yugoslavia back in the 50s. Back in the 50s, a lived experience that they shared with me, and was the source of my motivation to this day. And those who have grown up in that sort of environment would know, certainly wouldn't be smirking. They made their way across the border into Italy under the cover of darkness. If they got caught, the best they could expect was a long jail term, and the worst would be to get shot. My father did serve jail time, so I take this story very seriously, and as I said, I haven't shared it, but I'm sharing it tonight. Tonight I also bring with me a certificate of refugee, which is my parents' travel documents from those days. It wasn't always the case that Eddie Contell and I sit here in suits and can reflect on a fortunate life. My parents did it tough, and as Councillor Aitken reflected in his swearing-in speech, made their way to Australia, eventually to Geelong via the Snowy Mountain scheme, where my father was an underground fitter and turner, and my mother was a cook. My sister was born in Cooma. My brother and I were born here. When I started school, I couldn't speak English. Some will say I still probably don't, but I'll do my best. Since those times, I made the best of the opportunities that Australia gives immigrants who come to this country, and I don't take that lightly. I've tried to make the best of every opportunity, and saw education as my way to achieve my potential, and have tried to ride my luck as hard as I could. And to that extent, I'm very fortunate to be sitting here, and that's why at every opportunity I'll remind people who are prepared to listen how fortunate we are to be living in such a great country. We should celebrate, whenever given the opportunity, how lucky we are, where we can have freedom of speech and we don't have to fear persecution for speaking our mind. That's not a liberty that is available to everyone. I told you about my family's background. I remember in 1974 when I first visited Yugoslavia, and we went into a hotel, and I was told, don't even look at the picture of the president, because that'll be enough to get you into trouble with the police. We don't have that situation in Australia, and we're lucky, and I believe we should celebrate everything that is great and good about Australia whenever we have the opportunity, and talk this country up. As far as what I have planned for the future, it's to work with this council group. We were elected on mandates to represent our communities to the best of our ability. As the Mayor, I'm in the fortunate position that I can articulate views of a strategic nature, and I feel that as a responsibility, apart from my ward responsibilities. So I've been working and thinking about what a 100-day plan could look like. Today's not the night, tonight is not the night where that can all be explained, but I'll touch on some things. Let's make our CBD great again. I remember back in 1998 when we had a ceremony burying what was called Sleepy Hollow. Frank Costa used to always talk after those days that Geelong was Australia's best kept secret. Australia is now the fastest growing city in Australia. But it's got its challenges, but we will work together and we will look to make the CBD equivalent to what is now this cultural precinct and equivalent to what is the waterfront. It's an obvious challenge that we will all work on. Partnership with CBD stakeholders. I think Council can play a significant leadership role in bringing together into the room all the people who can have a say in what the CBD should be. Representatives of state government, federal government, local government, developers, and let's find out what is holding up the development of the various sites and ensuring that the CBD can prosper to the best of its potential, and it will. We need to look at things like a comprehensive CBD car parking strategy. I believe we can work together and invite revitalisation of the bollards. They have been a tremendous tourist attraction and they're somewhat getting tired. We need to reduce barriers to growth, red tape where it exists. But one message that was very clear to me that was stated throughout the campaign is the community wants the council to focus on back to basics, namely get the council to really focus on ensuring that the council delivers on the core basic services that the city is known for: the roads, the footpaths, the curbs and drains. It's not the most sexy of topics, but it's what keeps the city together. It's what annoys people. And Councillor Contell and I met with community people yesterday whose houses are flooded regularly in Geelong West and Newtown, for example. Significant money needs to be found, so we as a group will need to find capacity within the budget to ensure that that can be achieved. So Council has currently 130 plus services that we provide. So the task of identifying capacity without reducing service levels will be challenging, but it'll be necessary. So the plan will be bold. There will be actionable steps to revitalise the CBD, enhance fiscal responsibility, create a dynamic community, and with strategic leadership and collaboration with the councillor group, the officers and the community, I'm sure we can ensure that Geelong continues to thrive, is inclusive and is a competitive and thriving hub. So, thank you. Right, so before we move into the...
We'll now call for suspension of standing orders while we rearrange seating allocations. Can I please have a mover and seconder? Moved Councillor Sullivan, seconded Councillor Nelson. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. For the rest, just right here. So
2 equals to go. Just back to where we were.
Do that,
Okay.
and then, yeah.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a few. Yeah. Yep.
Don't mention it.
Yes. Yes, please. However,
Right. So the next item that we'll be moving to is the election of the Deputy Mayor. So can I have someone move and a seconder, please?
Nominations.
We've just got to resume standing orders, so just...
Now we're resuming standing orders. Can I have a mover and seconder? Just to move from standing orders.
Yes.
Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Nelson. All right, so having resumed standing orders, we can now move on to the next item of the agenda, which is the election of the Deputy Mayor of the Greater Geelong City Council, and that'll be conducted in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and governance rules. Can I please call for nominations? Aitken?
As the most immediate past Deputy Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong, it's my pleasure to nominate Councillor Ron Nelson for the position of Deputy Mayor.
Ms. Seconder? Councillor Kados? Nelson, you happy to accept that nomination?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Any other nomination? Declare Councillor Nelson elected as Deputy Mayor. Councillor Nelson, would you like to say a couple of words?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be brief. Just first and foremost, like to thank my fellow councillors for putting their faith and trust in me over the next 2 years. I look forward to working with you all as a group, including the officers as well, to get the things that we need to get done in this city. I'd like to thank my partner Nicole, who's in the audience tonight. Thank you. Couldn't have done this without you. Lastly, I'd like to thank the Mayor for putting his faith and trust in me, and I'll always have your back to make sure we get things done for our city. So I won't talk any more, but let's get back to work. Thank you.
Ranging? All right, so we'll call for a suspension of standing orders while we rearrange seating again. So can I please have a mover? Councillor Katos, Councillor Contel. Those in favour? Against? Carried. So is there any rearranging we need to do? Is that what you want to do? How long are we going to break for?
We'll just break for about 5.
We're just having a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back into session.
Like 36, 38 hours time. If you ever go by Munich Airport again in my life, it'll be too exciting.
Yeah, okay, all right. A bit rusty.
What are you doing back here?
Just take in the
It's just a couple of years, I just got
There's levels.
All right, so I think we can start again. All right, if we could just resume our seats, and we'll continue. So I'll now call to resume standing orders. Can I have someone move? Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Sullivan, and all those in favour? Against? It's carried. That now concludes the formal process regarding the election of the Deputy Mayor. But before we continue with the agenda tonight, I'd like to take a moment to provide Councillor Wilkinson with the opportunity to address the gallery and to say a few words for the Zonta 16 Days of Activism, please. Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mayor Contel, and for the opportunity. And we thank Zonta Geelong for our orange mascot that sits here. Zonta Geelong is part of the Zonta International, which has worked through advocacy and service towards a world free of violence for women and girls. Orange is the colour designated by the United Nations to end violence against women campaign. So during the 16 Days of Activism, which launched in Geelong in Johnson's Park on Sunday, we heard from our Executive Director, Troy Edwards, about the incredible work that's being done within the city in terms of gender equity. It's part of a campaign world over. So we're encouraged to take part in the Zonta Says No to Violence Against Women campaign, local, national and international actions to influence the making and implementation of laws, as well as changing gender-based attitudes and behaviours to end violence against women. So you might see some yarn bombing in Johnson's Park. The city's lighting up some trees down the waterfront in orange. It's a time of reflection, a time of action, because the numbers are very sobering. There have been 86 women that have been killed in Australia so far this year. This means that just this year, a woman is being violently killed in Australia every 4 days. These are deaths that have been reported. So every day in our hospital in Geelong, I see women with physical and psychological injuries, some of whom talk about the violence they're experiencing and some who do not. Some who return home due to the lack of safe housing, limited resources and supports, and many return because they know at the point of leaving that they, their children and their pets are at most risk. So for those survivors in Geelong making very difficult decisions every day, we see you. There are many changes that the government can bring in terms of increased resources for safe and affordable housing, access to legal services or funding mental health and family services, funding for work to be done with perpetrators, because this is important work that needs to happen for change. But the 16 Days of Activism of Gender-Based Violence is a time for all of us to reflect upon the lives and potential that are lost, and so also to ask ourselves, what are we doing as individuals? So it's not an us and them problem, it's an epidemic. So I ask you tonight, and we ask as individuals, will you challenge the violent behaviour, including comments that you see? Will you speak to fathers, brothers, uncles, sons in your life about respect? Will you advocate, will you listen, and will you act? So 86 women have died in Australia for this so far this year, and this number, unfortunately, is likely to rise. As a councillor, I will continue to advocate, along with my fellow councillors, to address the factors that lie beneath gender-based violence here in Geelong, not just for 16 days, but every day for the next 4 years.
Councillor Wilkinson. Councillors, there's one matter, item 1.5, confirmation of minutes that we need to move. So can I have a mover, please, and a seconder to confirm the minutes of the council meeting that was held on the 26th of October 2024? Councillor Sullivan, and a seconder, Councillor Contell. Councillor Sullivan, is there anything to say? No. Put it to the vote. So all those in favour? Against? Carried. So we move to item 2.3, councillor oaths and affirmations of office. Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Sinclair. Councillor Wilkinson.
So this is to record the oaths and affirmation of office undertaken by councillors elected at the 2024 Geelong City Council election.
Anything to say? All right, anyone else wish to say anything? If not, put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Then moving to item 2.4, council meeting schedule of dates for 2025. Councillor Aitken moving.
I have an alternative motion that I wish to move, Mayor Contell.
On the screen.
Yes, no. The governance gave us advice, sorry, you're the governance manager, is that right, Alana? Yep. Yep, and you actually advised us that it was an alternative, not an amendment.
Moving the alternative, yes. And a seconder to move the alternative, Councillor Eddie Contell. So Councillor Aitken.
I'll read out the motion then. The original motion was that council endorse the schedule of council meeting dates for 2025 as attachment 1. The addition that myself and Councillor E. Contell wish to present before the council is requests, part 2, requests on the following dates: the 22nd of April 2025, the 22nd of July 2025 and the 28th of October 2025. The council meeting be held in the community. Location and venue to be determined by the Mayor in consultation with the Chief Executive Officer. And I'll just make some quick comments on that. The original presentation that was put before us was that all meetings were to be held at City Hall. The council group is quite strong that they endorse the principle that this is actually the city of Greater Geelong. It actually represents the whole of Geelong, and as a consequence, the council group is instructing the Chief Executive Officer that we wish to have at least a minimum of 3 council meetings within the community, and those meetings are not to be held at City Hall. Where they will occur on those particular dates and the location will be determined by the Mayor and the Chief Executive Officer in consideration of what needs to be undertaken. But I actually think it is a very important principle that one of the first decisions that this council potentially has to change an office of recommendation is to embrace that the community has every opportunity to participate and have access to their councillors as much as possible. And I look forward to those 3 meetings in 2025 to be in the part of Greater Geelong.
Councillor Contell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it brief, but I think most people around this chamber would agree that, the feedback that we get from the community often is, how can we improve communication? How can we better inform the community with what's occurring, not only within council, but within the areas that they live, work and play. I think taking the meetings out to the various wards and different regions of the greater city of Geelong will help with that. it's yet to be established exactly where we will hold those, but I guess it's upon us also as councillors and as a council to ensure that we advertise that appropriately, make sure that our communities are aware that we'll be out there, but it's a wonderful opportunity to engage and get a bit closer to the various areas that we live in.
Councillor Contell. Anyone else wish to speak on the item? Anything in closing?
Nothing further to add, Mayor Contell.
So then put that to the vote. Those in favour? No one against? Carried. Next item is item 3, recording of informal meetings of councillors. Can I have a mover of that, please? Councillor Story. Seconder, Councillor Burson. Councillor Story.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is basically a procedural motion. The recommendation is that Council receive the summary of the informal meetings of councillors for the period to 26th of November 2024.
Councillor Burson, anything to say?
And nothing further to add.
Anyone else wish to speak? If not, put that to the vote. Those in favour? Anyone against? That was it. Yeah, so that really concludes the public component of the meeting. Council will now move into confidential. So what we'll do is have a break at this point, so we can.
We just need to.
Oh, the mover, yeah. So can someone move that we move to confidential? Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Nelson. Those in favour? Against? Carried.
Substitute for both.
And also for item 5.2, if we could have the same two, Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Nelson. And those in favour? Against? No one. Carried. We close the meeting to the public at this stage. Thank everyone for coming along this evening. We'll have a short break while the gallery